Materials that communicate luxury make a positive impact on your brand. True elegance is revealed through the details and harmony of texture, gloss, and color. With this in mind, Konica Minolta Sensing designed the new Spectrophotometer CM25CG. This portable spectrophotometer has 45-0 geometry and a true 60-degree gloss sensor. Two advanced optical systems allow you to capture both color and gloss in an instant. Match or exceed standards for color and gloss measurements with a commitment to accuracy. Konica Minolta Sensing developed the CM25CG in close cooperation with major automakers to communicate color and gloss every step of the way. Automotive interiors consist of a wide range of materials from different suppliers. An excellent inter-instrument agreement ensures reliability throughout the global supply chain. When measuring uneven or textured areas, repeatability is an industry challenge and causes fluctuating results. A proprietary illumination system with 45-0 geometry allows you to achieve stable and repeatable color readings regardless of position. You can cover many areas and measure a substantial number of samples. Each measurement only takes 1 second, a half second for gloss and a half second for color. Konica Minolta Sensing gives special attention to size and shape so you can comfortably use the lightweight CM25CG with either hand. An ergonomic design allows you to fit the instrument in narrow spaces, underneath the windshield, and other hard-to-reach areas. You can now change aperture size and measure smaller parts. A larger aperture allows you to average texture of a measured area. View spectral, colorimetric, and gloss readings on the large LCD display. Bluetooth connectivity lets you manage a clutter-free space and upload measurements to a remote computer. A complete quality control and color management system is possible with the instrument's internal firmware and SpectraMagic DX optional quality control software. SpectraMagic DX allows you to configure graphic and numerical layout according to your needs, from pass-fail to more sophisticated analysis with spectral, color, and trend graphs. Capture color with 45-0 geometry and gloss with a true 60-degree gloss sensor. The spectrophotometer CM25CG saves significant time and lowers production costs for the automotive industry.
So I think if anything, Eugene, the reason we're trying to get together as a meeting of minds is to sort of see how we're able to assist you with regard to the getting the supply chain together for color measurement. So I think if anything, Eugene, do you want to run through where things are at and how we can assist?
Well, I think we discussed this, but it's been a while again. And I think I did share a little bit of information with you. The idea from my side was that I wanted to get some sort of an indication from our suppliers, because I think we've reached the point now where basically all our suppliers of injection molded parts anyway, with the exception of one or two, I've got the right instrument now, the same as ours, and we've done verification testing with all of them, and we've in every single exercise we did, we basically proven as long as we're measuring the same part, preferably together, we get exactly the same results. We even had one we did at the vehicle analysis center in a car, and we would measure the same position. You have a go, and I follow in behind you, and spot on. Unfortunately, when we part our ways and the guys go back to their factory and they start monitoring their production there's a difference again. But it must be to do with the environment and the condition of the parts. I'm not really sure what affects that, but it's there. It seems to be a bit of a fact. But we're living with it. It's not it's like an out of control situation. It's just once a week when I do my presentation in the cubing, where we do the color harmony of the interior of the car, we also show, we track the measurements weekly, and we populate a graph, and we see sort of like a trend. Is it becoming lighter? Is it becoming darker? Becoming more yellow or whatever? We track it like that. So, and very often when we raise the flag and say the dashboard is getting a little bit too dark now, then Faurecia would say, but they don't see it. So that we have to just manage.
So Eugene, obviously this is coming out of Germany as a natural car assembly thing. All the major companies do try to do the same thing. The simple basic starting is to discuss that, first of all, you've got conditions and you've also got settings. So the settings you've proven, if you all stand around on the table and measure the same thing at the same time, everything comes out very close. That's correct? Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what we basically did. That's the first thing that was our concern. Are they all set the same aperture size, the same amount of blasts to get a reading, all that. We've done that, and we all measure the same now. Yeah. That's basically what I'm saying.
Exactly. So the good news is that when they print a document like about the instrument in Europe, it's a legal discussion. So when we say it's 0.012% inter-instrument agreement, that's what it is by law. So it's not like we just invent our own sort of balloons here. So that's like a settled issue, and we've settled it with many customers over many types of fields in many parts of Africa. So we are 100% sure. So that's settings. And the first thing is, if you're all using the same settings, that's a good start. Now the next condition is conditions. It's like ambient temperature, ambient. Every time water goes through Toyota, the water levels get very humid. So there's serious issues there, and it's not the instruments. The instrument doesn't adjust humidity or temperature for that. It doesn't compensate for that. There's no really, it's been tried in the past. One of our instruments, the CM512M3, has a thermometer in the foot. Toyota used them for a long time, but they also couldn't really get a correlation between the actual difference in summer and winter in Durban, as opposed to getting the color effect by looking at that. Also, users don't really understand that if you pick something up after just eating some chips, fingerprints will change the reading.
Well, that's my favorite. That's something that you said a year or two ago, and it's really stuck with me. Is that you said, well, if I take your glasses off and I stick my finger on there, I'm not going to be, my view will be a little bit different. And the same is for the instrument, obviously. And the thing is, when we go and measure our car, we select a car that's finished now. It's been built and it's there in the audit bay and it's got the proper lights and everything. But those parts have been handled, and sometimes more than others. And maybe this car was built after lunch when everybody had some fish and chips, and that clearly is a problem. And it is definitely sensitive to that. The thing what I don't know, I can't figure out, is if I'm measuring a dashboard and I'm bad luck and I'm hitting it on where there's a fingerprint or some human oil or whatever, what does it do? Which way does it throw my result? I don't know.
Yeah, so there's this is what everybody says, and so we've been working on it for decades, and you can't eliminate handling to a certain extent, but what you can do is averaging. So what actually helps a lot is, for instance, we've got one customer that does inks for printing, that they manufacture the inks and they draw them down on a card, and they take 12 readings on a card the size of a chocolate bar, so they really do a density of measurements, I think 12 measurements or something, and that's come out of Switzerland. And you're still there.
I'm sorry. I'm just sharing my screen. Yeah.
Cool.
Carry on.
So basically, the conditions in your part of the world, our part of the world, there's fluctuation of temperatures, humidity, and handling. Do you want to say something?
No, my dog wanted.
Your dog wanted to talk. I think they got something to add. Let it go. No, so what it means is that once you've gone through the idea that the instruments are reliable, now we need to work on the conditions being reliable. And a lot of people say, no, if you've got a bench top, it's got a bigger sphere and it must be better. Well, actually, the figures are better for our handhelds by a few percentage. So you can't get a better device, but the devices using our devices need to be locked into a sort of system. And the reporting system is all very well, that tells you what happened. But what you really need is a program or a system or a protocol that says you measure this corner on this bit. Now, if I remember correctly, the 2526 handheld, you can actually have a sequence of measurements. You can say measure this part at this place. It's in text or it's in some, you can even put an image. So it is possible to have more guidance for the user. So there's quite a lot of stuff to do. And I think that your supply chain is only going to be harmonized, all doing the same thing, if they don't go through some real like intensity training, which is what basically Heidi is saying, is that people need to really get to understand a fingerprint on your screen and a fingerprint on your glasses makes life different. And if your Coca-Cola squirted on your glasses, you're also not going to see. And people don't believe it because it's not something, normally, maybe when you're shaving and you're looking in the mirror and you think, I can't see myself anymore, I better clean this mirror. But mostly we just let stuff deteriorate around us quietly and then eventually start chucking these things out. So rigorous teaching. Now, I mean, I don't know if Germany has such a protocol. We're quite happy if they do have one and they want to share it. We're quite happy to translate it into 8.5 languages.
This is our standard color harmony report.
Okay.
So what I'm trying to show here is we take a car from the final vehicle audit area that's been audited, sometimes before or after. And I don't even think those guys actually wear gloves. I must actually go and check. I'm not sure. But basically, so we have a little bit of an exploded view, and there's a small team, 3 or 4 guys and girls, and they just look at the harmony. So, is there anything that stands out? Does it all look nice and pleasant to the eye? And when it's not, they see, but for example, the glove box here, the edge is the color is different. It doesn't look right. They would measure. At this stage, actually, they measure anyway. And from the measurements, we produce these graphs. So the one that I showed you earlier on, at the edge, which one was that now? This one doesn't really matter. They all sort of have a similar thing. But you sometimes, so this is now C-post lower, so they're by the back seat on the sides behind the door. This is the left-hand side, and this is the right-hand side. There's your gloss. So you see in, what was it, calendar week 32, we had this spike in the gloss. And at the same time, it's very dark. The week after we measure, or 2 weeks later, we measure again, and it's back where to call it normal again. And now the question is, what went wrong there? Immediately, the supplier must explain why did he produce such dark and glossy parts over that time. But it could have been that the part was contaminated. We don't know. I mean, you can't see it there. She follows a standard routine when she measures. So that's like predetermined. She starts this side of the car, and it's always in the same place. It's marked out and so on. But she just goes bang, 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 as she comes and downloads it.
So, Eugene, I think the people that do extruding aren't specialists in extrusion. And in my history, when I was at Turkster, we sold lots of polymers for plastics extrusion. You would get something that was matte, and you could get something that was shiny like a mirror, depending on how it was extruded. And it's past my pay grade to give you advice, other than to say that there are variants during the process. Extrusion has got pressure. Pressure can change, and pressure change can change the outcome. I do know a couple of people that are really, I've worked with a guy that has done nothing his whole life of extrusion, and I can have a discussion with him. But that's the type of thing that is happening in the extrusion process, which is not really the materials that you're putting in or the measurement. It's something that's happening in the process.
You can also add something. Eugene, if I may ask, are the operators perhaps in the way of sample preparation, are they wiping the parts down before the measurement, or
No, we stopped
no?
doing it. No, we stopped it. We were doing it a long time ago
Okay.
to try and get like a fresh surface or a neutral surface, so we would wipe the same every time. But we stopped it. I don't think it was a good thing. So we decided, don't touch, just follow the sequence and measure.
Okay.
But this isn't a major problem. It's just what I've asked for. What isn't a, it seems like the instrument is like super accurate as it is. It's also super sensitive. And can we fiddle with the settings to make it a little bit more flatter, if I can call it that? So it's I don't know.
The sensitivity doesn't change. It's always the same. So it has to be sensitive to have the instrument agreement.
I hear you.
So,
I hear you.
when you've got a sharp pencil, you get a much better writing than when it's gone like flat. That's not one. But what you're saying is, can you widen the tolerance? And that is really not a mathematical decision, it's an optical decision. You have to say, this looks, and we did it in your factory. This particular two colors aren't the same. We can just say they're different. You get that impression in the body. It's like, no, it's not right. And then you can measure the difference of what is the difference in color in units, not necessarily worrying about what the actual color is, but how far has it drifted? And that's where you've got to decide. I mean, we talked already, remember, the guys were using very tight tolerances at the beginning. And then you and I had a discussion, and I think I was there as well at the same time, but whenever, also when Terry came out, we said, reduce it. You don't have to be so strict.
Yeah.
So if you want to reduce the sensitivity, as you say it, we can't change the sensitivity, but you can give it more leeway by widening the tolerances.
Yes.
But I think what Heidi could help you with quite a lot is to work with actual pieces. It's not like to do it in theory. You need to actually look at it and do enough work, and that's going to cost a bit of time, obviously. But what you really need to do is to say, at what point do you say, no, this is no longer acceptable, it's not the same. So if you buy paint for the kitchen from Plascon, you'll find that the colors are probably not the same from one year to the next. But you just put up with it, so you end up painting the whole cupboard instead of just half to the one door, So you can do that. But in your vehicle, the parts come from all over the show. And before the strength of the inter-instrument agreement is, before the people send you the product, they mustn't take a chance. They need to look at the part, and the parts that are going to be seen or going to be looked at need to be within a certain tolerance that you accept. And so when you're dealing with black and charcoals and dark colors, it's the least sensitive color to measure, but you're using a device that can measure it to any level of sensitivity. But what you want is, what does the eye accept without saying, no, that's wrong? So sometimes they might just change a polymer, a colorant. They might be using an orange and a blue, and then they turn it to a yellow and a red and a blue, and something like that. You could say it might give a different perception, although you don't quite see the difference. But the system can tell you, okay, this is going in this direction, the A, the L, or the B. So that is something that needs quite a lot of, I suppose, you could simply say, a lot of trial and error to come to what's acceptable on the different parts. Now, remember you said for the dashboard, after we had the last discussion down this, that you spent $1 million changing the way you did the visible board dashboards, and that you changed the whole process. It's that type of thing that you may be looking to do again. Is that right?
I'm not sure now if it's dashboard specifically. We actually went this far. We actually changed the color.
Yeah,
we deliberately went darker. Yeah, and it's helped a lot, just purely because in the car the darker looks a little bit more expensive, a little bit more luxurious, because the dashboard was getting very grey, and it looks faded and cheap,
Like a recycled Woolworths package.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, but listen, what I think about the training with Heidi that we want to now try and set up. I'm not sure, Jade, if you deal with all our suppliers, right? I mean,
Yes.
they've obviously talked to you about when they need calibration done and so on. So you've got a contact person for each of our suppliers that have got this instrument.
Yes.
So I don't really deal directly with the suppliers. I could ask my purchase parts colleagues, but maybe it's maybe a bit easier if you contact the suppliers and say to them, listen, if Volkswagen is looking at doing a face-to-face training thing, would they be interested? And maybe a little bit of input from their side. What would they like to see? Because that's
very valid. I think it's a very valid question you're asking, and I think that we're in as good a position or better than you to actually have that discussion. I think what I'd like to do is to get some hard information from Germany, from Konica Minolta Germany. What are they doing there? Not that they might be better, because I think your factory's won as many prizes as the German one, if not more. So, but I'd like to get hard information out of Germany. I'd like to speak to a couple of polymer people in Konica Minolta, and also the guy that I worked with in Höchst. I'd like to find out from him what, his ideas on what happens. And then we could put a little discussion together like we're having now, and try and get all the people to come onto one Zoom or Teams and say to them, we want to help you guys get a better result. You've bought the instrument, you want to get your money's worth, you want to get the value, and now we have to go down to finer detail, and we want to make it easier for the operator and better for the outcome. I think that's the two things. It's got to be easier for the user, and it's got to have a good result.
Yeah.
If people don't, yeah.
I think you might get a lot of answers there. I mean, I think I definitely have shared it with you before. So we've got a norm called VW50190.
Yes.
Measurement-based evaluation of color glass level. And that's quite detailed in your method of testing.
Yeah.
So that's a nice document to start off with, and then everybody should be quite familiar with this. And I think this is what we must basically probably build on.
Yeah, I think we just got to point out that it's obvious that handling without gloves is going to cause trouble.
Yeah.
Things like that. And, the cheap cotton gloves, well, of course, nothing happens. They'll vanish fast and furious. Everyone will be a snooker player there. But you're coming now to the more fine information that needs to be dealt with, because you are a company that makes quality vehicles. That's that. You worry about it, and people want to fix it. So yeah, we want to fix it with you. So the devices give you the data, but the application of the instrument is more than just what it can do, is what is the user doing. And that's where we need to get a team. And I think that is a sort of concerted effort from a training point of view. So what really Heidi needs to do is to train somebody in your training department so that they can continue passing it on, if you have such a person.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's maybe not a bad idea.
It would keep momentum and consistency within the system, Eugene. So it's not a bad idea to have somebody who's responsible for the knowledge handover, because operators and QC people say they will, but then they don't.
Yeah. You'll have to think about that a little bit, but yeah, it'll. So what would we gain by doing that? I'm not really sure now.
Continuity. So I don't know about Volkswagen, but a lot of our customers, laboratories and quality, are managed by fairly young women who are well trained usually tertiary, and usually pregnant. So what happens is that when you had somebody leave last year, and so what happens is that it takes a while to replace the person, but the overlap is often lost, and the new person comes in more or less fresh. And you can mentor them all, and your customers, your supply chain can work on their people, but a central sort of person, and maybe even one of your supply chain could be the control person that says this is how it's done. It doesn't even have to come out of your factory, but it will be for the people who want to serve your factory properly. But we find there's nothing wrong with the staff, except they have ups and downs. And then when there's a gap, I think Heidi does more training for people that have left and come back or whatever than anything else. Heidi, you could comment on that.
Yeah, so certainly often I find that if there's somebody new in a position, even if the outgoing person is within shouting distance, the detail of measurement is often not conveyed to the next incumbent, to the point where you get reliable and well understood, so it can be well managed information to the next person. So to have somebody who is sort of that clued up on that within your organization would be useful to you from a continuity point of view.
Yeah.
The thing is that as the Konica Minolta distributor for most of Africa, our requirement is training and support, and not hit and run. We have to continuously talk to customers. We have to continuously ask, like we're doing now, how can we help you sharpen it up? Because you also understand that the 10 or 12 years we've been working with you, or longer even, standards have tightened up as well.
Yeah.
So, nothing's getting easier. So, so it makes sense to have like some corporate intelligence that's in your business, and we can feed it, and we can help, making sure that you're on the right diet. That you need, it's probably best to have somebody that takes that on, that can help. Yeah,
but it won't be. I'm misunderstood. But our training department, by contacting them, they will facilitate things. That they're not technical people. There's nobody there that'll get even close to understanding this. So it's not really an option. There's no one there. We are the users of this instrument, and we're supposed to be like the specialists. And we're not really. I mean, we've got the new lady here now. She's ex-Plascon, so she understands color. But yeah, I think the idea of this is that we sharpen up in our knowledge base a little bit, and in line with our suppliers, so that we all know the same thing. We don't have to phone each other and blame fingerprints and stuff like that.
And we must help coach you all the time. So
yes,
most of our customers are users that don't increase or go and delve into the depths of color physics. They're more interested in just the protocols.
Exactly.
So what we really want to do is help with a protocol, and once you've got the protocol running, then you can decide, is it a useful vehicle or not? we don't have to go into deep science. We just got to go into practice. What is
Definitely not. Definitely not. So I remember with some of the previous training sessions, you lose the people very quickly when it gets too complicated.
Yes.
So I think actually the last one we did was actually quite nice. I can't remember now, but whereas the one before was way too complicated. So I don't know if that's still available somewhere and we can just brush up on that, but that's the type of thing. It was nice and simple.
Yeah, it's still available, and we're pragmatic people. We don't want to teach people high society stuff. We want to be understanding. Do you know this is you should do and this you shouldn't do? You don't even have to bring written warnings into it. The results in your reports will show when it's happening, on when this guy's in charge of the line and when that person's in the line. It'll start to come up in a certain way. So our job is to coach, to give the best pragmatic information. You don't need more science, you don't need more technology, you need a protocol. And people need to understand, do this part of the instrument, make sure that it's flat on the device, that it's not got light coming in from somewhere because they're talking to somebody else while they're measuring, as one does. So I was doing some measuring this morning, and I did exactly that. I was talking to someone.
Yeah. And then afterwards you wonder why. There's a spike in the graph.
Then you look at the thing and you say, well, it wasn't an instrument. I know that because it's working so perfect. Okay, Eugene, so I think, Heidi, what we must do as a team here is put together a protocol, but I think what you're saying, Eugene, is that we contact your user, and maybe what the process for that would be a webinar. You put on it not like a 4-hour Zoom, but a 20-minute or 15-minute webinar where we show a little video and say, do you know that this and this can cause troubles? And then let's have them asking questions straight afterwards.
Good idea.
That's
a good idea.
Yeah, so that's something we work on now, that webinars are coming back, because the interface. So what happens is that there's guys like Richard that are always talking, and then everyone else is sitting still. You need to get everybody to come back with their story and what they
participate.
Think. Yeah, that's right. And I think that's how we have to take it down. And you're calling for assistance, you're asking the right people, and we'll put together what you need and see how it works. We've got plenty of customers that need to do this type of thing, but they're not at your level of discretion.
Yeah,
not measurable. Well, it's just we've got to apply more. I say practical stuff.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
At the moment, just one quick question. Your suppliers at the moment, are they measuring into sort of a central database that you're privy to? Are their results purely internal to them, and then they send you a report with each delivery? How is the system working? Do they feed to the VW system, or do they just send a report that you then put into the VW system?
To be honest with you, I've got nothing to do with their measurements. So I do the series monitoring on the car, and I report, and then the PQE, the guys, the purchase parts upstairs, when there's something out of reported to be out or trending in the wrong direction, they take it up with them. If there's a dispute, I would invite them over and we measure whatever together. They bring their instrument over and we just do a verification exercise. But I don't necessarily really see their results all the way that they track it. I've given them my template and I said, you're welcome to use this because this works well for us. It's nice that those graphs I showed you now, it's nice and visual and it's easy and simple. So, but whether they use it or not, I don't know. That's up to them.
It's not a prerequisite for them in any shape or form. It's just a tool if they want to use it. Okay, so essentially you're testing the physical parts as a cross check. At the moment, you're not taking their results. Okay. Okay.
And like I said, we've done with that exercise. We at least made sure we selected, like on a door trim panel, we say you measure there, and there, and we had our templates made in the beginning, but pretty much everybody knows now. That's been doing it for more than a year.